Hello and welcome to Training at 45. So I thought I'd do a little bit of a nutrition supplement today. Following on from Building the Classic Physique the Natural Way by Steve Reeves. So I've been looking at trying to polish up my diet somewhat because I've been on the seafood diet, seafood eat it. And all the time, I suppose, I've been trying to train and stuff. I've concentrated on making sure I'm getting some good amounts of protein in, trying to avoid ultra-processed foods. I've even tried sort of keto diets and things like that. And everything has its ups and downs. So with this book, it's fantastic because it does lay out quite a lot of stuff about nutrition. There's Steve piling away some food there. And it's got his daily, typical day's diet from his competition days. So I thought, wow, well, that would be interesting to try and implement that, see where we get to. So the analysis is in. I've done a lot of calculations. So we'll go to the kitchen and we'll start the day off and do the day's meals and see where we get to at the end. We're in the kitchen this morning and it's time for breakfast. So we're going to make the Steve Reeves power drink. So without further ado, let's start crafting at this wonder of nutrition. So it's going to call for a few ingredients, and also I'm going to be putting in some of the protein powder, which has been homemade just as he suggests here. So we'll go through this step by step. 14 ounces of orange juice. It's about there. Next we need gelatin. You can buy it in the UK just like this in these small sachets. Just about get 2 tablespoons of gelatin. But I found it's going to be better to go for a big tub of it. I had to order this online. Now why gelatin, you'll say? Well, its protein content is very high. So 85 grams per 100 grams of this stuff is protein. It's just missing a few amino acids to make it a complete protein. But by the time we've had the eggs with this, that will balance that out. So a nice tablespoon of that in there. And we'll get a nice tablespoon of honey. This is just some locally produced honey, because I think some of the stuff from the supermarket is going to more or less be like a sugary syrup. And we have a good old banana. Just get the normal sized one. Chuck that in there as well. Now the next part is the protein powder. So this is made to Steve's recommendation of half a pound of powdered egg whites, half a pound of powdered skim milk, and a quarter of a pound of powdered soy protein. Soy protein is pretty easy to find in a lot of health food stores and it's pretty cheap, 90% protein. The other stuff I had to get online was a bit difficult, so there's the egg white powder, that's fairly expensive. And also the skimmed milk powder is a little bit easier to get hold of because it's used a lot in coffee making and latte machines and things like that. So what I did, just to make a small amount that should last a couple of weeks, I've just gone for just 2 ounces on the milk, 2 ounces on the egg white, and 1 ounce on the soy, just to get the same ratios. So we'll put 2 tablespoons of that in. And there we are. So the next element is going to be the 2 to 4 raw eggs. So we watched the chickens lay these a couple of days ago. So they're about as decent a eggs as we can get. But I'm not going to put these in there. I'm just going to poach them separately. Just a bit concerned about salmonella, all that kind of thing. And I don't think it detracts from the flavour anyway of this. So now we'll just get the old trusty handheld blender and we'll get to work on that. Looking pretty tasty. Bit of chilli and a bit of pepper. Well, there we go. Bon appetit. Oh man, that tastes really good. Been eating this for about a week now. It surprisingly fills you up for the whole morning. Fantastic. You feel really energized as well. So the early morning workout power drink has certainly got power to it. Quite a fair few carbs from it in the balance of things. I was expecting the homemade protein powder to have a little bit more protein content. It's kicking in at around 20 grams of protein, which isn't too bad, but then with the eggs and everything else, it's bumping it up to a reasonable amount. I think if you just scrambled the eggs, you could probably knock this out in say 5 minutes and get out the door. So it's got a lot of benefits for quickness as well, so that's good. Okay, so we've hit lunchtime and we are going for cottage cheese with a handful of nuts and raisins, 2 pieces of fresh fruit. Actually don't like eating cottage cheese on its own, but somehow with all of this in, it seems to really work, complements itself. I prefer, I think, to put peanut butter in rather than just nuts themselves, although you can just mix it up and see what works. There's just so many different fruits out there, just to pick a couple of different ones every day just adds a bit of variety. I do like keeping an avocado in there though, I think that's good. You alright, mate? Another good meal, eh? Chill out in the salad. I've grown to really like these lunches. I think the whole thing balances itself lovely, although I've thrown off the balance somewhat by adding the avocado. I think if you went for just normal run-of-the-mill fruits, just like apples, bananas and things, you'd keep the fat levels down, but I do think there's a lot of value to eating avocados, so I'll try and keep those in. And also it's a lot of extra calories as well to bulk it out. And as well, I've been quite generous with the peanut butter, but even so, it certainly fills you up for the day, and it carries even more calories than the breakfast does, so it keeps you moving. Right, time for the evening meal. So with the evening meal, I had some stuff left over from a barbecue, but even so, I don't know if I'd add all that much meat to a typical salad, but even so, it's given it some good numbers. Small beef steak, a beef burger, small pork steak, and then plenty of salad, a few olives, bit of dressing on there. So I think that qualifies. Probably maybe add a little bit more salad to the mix, because it says in the book one huge salad. I suppose it's defining what is huge. But yeah, a satisfying meal to end the day. So I let myself down during the day with a packet of wine gums, or about half a packet of them. So that's added a lot of extra calories, I suppose, to the day. It's amazing just looking at the nutrition on the back of those, how many carbs and calories are in those, and you can see why people get so many empty calories inside them as soon as you start tucking into cakes and sweets and chocolates and things like that. So all in all, a fairly Herculean amount of food, or it feels like it. Certainly felt pretty full. I could easily carry on eating like this. I suppose I'll mix and match some of the evening meals up, I think, but I think try and keep some consistency with the breakfasts and the dinners, I think, for the next phase now of the workout, and see where it gets to. Hopefully it'll define the physique down even more, instead of just me randomly eating anything and everything that's available. Okay, so see you for the next training session. Keep it real and keep training at 45.